Hey everybody, just got a quick one to share with you today. Something that I get asked quite often is who are we really talking about when you say hacker or cyber criminal or threat actor, And I get that. It makes complete sense. Sometimes, and I talk and write about this a lot, I think that one of the common trends in any hyper-focused vertical is that we get kind of obsessed with our own terminology and our own ecosystem and our own communication channels. And it's not always obvious to us that if you're outside of that scope of influence, if you're outside of that social circle, that some things may not be obvious. And I think that this is, in our world especially, that is very common. I find that a lot of the things that would come up in conversation amongst peers or friends in the cyberspace are not only outside of the comfort zone of the people that I may be interacting with socially or extra professionally, but they may not have any clue what I'm talking about. I mean, they've never heard the term before. They've never, discussed the topic before. You have to kind of start from foundational level to even get to, a flyby explanation of maybe something you thought you were going to breeze through in a simple, ongoing conversation. So that is the preface for, or at least the situation in which I often get asked this question. Who are we talking about when we say cyber criminal or threat actor? And I love this piece. I wrote a little blurb about it on LinkedIn this week from FBI Cyber. I follow them. They're always posting quality content. And they had an alert that went out. U.S. businesses can be targeted by IT workers from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, right? So North Korean individuals sponsored by the state are being identified at this point by the FBI as targeting specifically U.S.-based companies, networks, individuals, SMBs, so on and so forth, right? Critical infrastructure is mentioned here in the post. So why did I take time to bring this up? I took time to bring this up because I get asked that question a lot, one, and two, this highlights something that may not be obvious to people, again, outside of our space. It's one thing, even if you hear somebody say hacker or threat actor, because you've, seen movies, because you've watched TV shows, you may even be comfortable assuming that we're talking criminal here, right? You've got this vague idea of, a dingy building somewhere and a couple of people sitting around some tables or a dark basement, so on and so forth. But I think that a leap beyond sometimes would be the understanding that often these attacks are state sponsored. And that may not be obvious to everybody, but some of the most prolific and very pronounced threats to U.S. business and infrastructure, especially in recent years, are state-sponsored threats, right? So North Korea, Russia, China, and Iran, you may hear their name in the news for lots of different reasons, but what may not be obvious unless you're following this space quite frequently is that they spend a ton of time, effort, and resources on allowing public or private individuals within their sovereign borders to target Western democracies, both publicly and privately. So they're not only allowing these individuals and financing these individuals and equipping these individuals to work against governmental infrastructure, military targets, they are also encouraging, financing, funding, equipping these individuals or organizations to target, private businesses and private citizens. So that may not be obvious to everyone, but I wanted to bring it up. I wanted to highlight this article because I think that one of the things that we're constantly talking about is the more educated you are, the more aware you are of what's actually happening in the world out there, the more you may be able to attach yourself to why is this a threat and be comfortable with the steps or the methodology to protect yourself. While it may be difficult for you to imagine that, some kid in a basement somewhere living with grandma is going to try to steal your credit card, you may not feel impending doom. That may not seem like a real foundational threat to your business. But if you begin to learn and conceptualize and become comfortable with the fact that Russia is spending in the 7 figures to support nationalist and organizations within Russian territory to target U.S.-based business, and you're a U.S.-based business owner, and you may not know a lot about Russia, but you do know enough to know that maybe they're capable, maybe they're well-funded, maybe they're very passionate about their targets. So that may be a little easier to conceptualize. That may be a little easier to to reconcile yourself with the threat. Hopefully it is, right? Because one of the things that we're constantly trying to arrive at here is we are not, and when I say we, not just myself, anybody in this industry, and there's a ton of great providers out there, and there's a ton of wonderful, wonderful people working in this space, basically trying to bring quality security to U.S. business and infrastructure, because it's where we work and live, right? So it's very important to us too. So one of the things I like to say a lot is, educating to this topic, getting people comfortable with this information. That's how we bridge the gap. That's how we move forward collectively. That's how we harden the target and stay vigilant together. So just a quick one today, not a whole lot of details to dig into. As always, the link to the article that I'm referencing here is below the video. Feel free to pop in and read it and deep dive it a little bit if you have time. But the quick recap is we're not just talking about criminals. We're talking about state-sponsored attacks here, and that's one of the reasons they've been so out of hand and so large and so well-planned and so well-funded lately. So wherever you're at today, I hope you're having a great one. Thanks, as always, for clicking on the video. And if you like the content, please feel free to follow us on social. I'm creating this stuff and trying to put it out several days a week on average. So stop by and check it out. Thanks.